What up, it's Book the Win. Let's get into how to check your stats in EA Sports PGA Tour and PGA Tour 2K23. It's a little more complicated in EA Sports, but you go into career mode, and you probably should play some career if you haven't already. I've played a good chunk. I'm at the US Open next. Click into the FedEx Cup rankings. Then tab over to statistics. And here we go. We got driving distance, fairways and rag. Got your proximity, greens and rag, par and sand save, putts per hole, scoring averages, scoring totals, etc. Okay. So let's head over to PGA Tour 2K23. Alright, so then you go profile menu by pressing the 3-line button on your controller. Then tabbing over to stats, statistics and records. And you can see your aces, albatrosses, eagles, scoring average, pars, greens and reg, driving distance, putts per hole, all those juicy things. Now let's compare the two. Alright, welcome back. So here's a good old paint picture of my stats. PGA Tour 2K versus EA Sports PGA Tour. Rounds played, it's 685 to about 80. Driving distance average 310.5 versus 311.27. So EA Sports, I do hit it longer. I'm not maxed out, so I will hit it even further in the future. So you hit further on that game. Fairways hit 68% versus 77%. So that's a big number. If I'm hitting it further but still hitting the fairway, means it's easier to hit fairways and drive the ball on EA Sports PGA Tour. It just is. Greens and reg, another staggering 68 versus 78. I hit 78% of greens on EA Sports on tour difficulty exclusively, and like there's 240 yard par threes and stuff like that. I'm still hitting 78% greens. Putts per hole 1.42 versus 1.62. Now this stat is kind of skewed 2K23, and you think maybe it's higher. It's actually lower. It's probably around 1.3 right now if I was playing, but 1.35 in general. This factors in all rounds, including like par 3 courses where I, average 3 putts a hole because they're massive courses and stuff. Proximity to the hole. Actually, let's go back to putts per hole. So EA Sports PGA Tour. Now it does have that messed up green reading, but that's 1 out of like 20 times you'll have that. It's not that common. You can use it as an excuse why you're missing putts. So why is my putt still high? It's just harder, slightly harder. My putts are close to going in, they just don't go in. Proximity to the hole. 29.2 feet versus 17.75. This is a huge stat. Think about it. 685 rounds and my average proximity is 30 feet. I'm averaging a 30-footer, but I'm 1-putting more often than 2-putting. Think about that. And I have a 30-footer on each hole, and more likely or not, I'm making that. Now my proximity is 17 feet on EA Sports, and my putts are still higher. So that's kind of a weird correlation there. Albatrosses, it's 11 on 2K23, 2 on EA Sports. I just showed, it said 1, but I had one other one that's not counted, but it was still on tour difficulty. Longest drive, 674 versus 421. There's obviously some custom courses on PGA Tour 2K23, so that's how you get 674. My actual longest drive on EA Sports is like 480. It was on, it was at Wolf Creek, downwind, wasn't career mode. Par save percentage, this one is weird. It's 66.8% on 2K23 versus 68 on EA Sports PGA Tour. Why this is weird, like I said, I make putts on 2K. So, but 2 out of 3 times I'm not saving par. It's because it's harder in the rough from longer distances. And like, so if you miss the fairway, which I do, 30, 31% of the time, it's harder to hit the green and then hit it close and save par on 2K versus EA Sports. Hole in ones, 35 on 2K23, 0 on EA Sports PGA Tour. I've had about 4 or 5 like hit the pin and be within a foot, but haven't dropped one yet on EA Sports. Scoring average 61 versus 67.12. This is a bit. It's probably EA Sports realistically is probably more than the 65 range it'll get down to. But again, scoring average is much lower on 2K23 for one reason. Putting is easy. I make it easy a little bit. I am better than 95, maybe 99% of golfers on 2K23 at putting, but it still is easier because I thought the putting would be completely different on both games. They're very similar. Very similar. Both have similar type grades. Both start the same way. Both have same adjustments for uphill and downhill. It's just harder to putt on EA Sports PGA Tour, but I think it's more realistic on EA Sports PGA Tour. Think about it in real life. Like, there's a bunch of stuff. You can misread a green, first of all. There's like divot marks, bumps and around. All these greens are always perfectly smooth and stuff. It still is closer to realism EA Sports PGA Tour. I think the ideal number would be 1.5. I think that would be the most realistic considering a lot of factors. And on 2K23, the number says 1.42. It is closer to 1.3. If you're playing me in ranked matchmaking on Pro, it's probably like 1.2, maybe 1.1. I know there's countless times I've made 5 40-footers in a row, and it probably looks like I'm cheating. But here is just a good little stats check to see what I've said from day one of streaming is it is easier to hit the ball on EA Sports. It's easier to hit your second shot on EA Sports, but it is harder to putt on EA Sports. It's easier to putt on 2K23, and putting is such an important thing that scoring average would be lower because of putting. So you can still be all over the place in 2K23, but if you have a fire putter, your rounds will be lower. Overall, I really enjoy both games. I'm playing EA Sports PGA Tour a lot more now because there's more things to do, challenges, daily online tournaments that are short, but you can keep trying them. I think there's something to it. I don't know. All I know is you should hit that like and subscribe button, comment what you think, and have a wonderful day. Take care.